I'm Stephanie Williams, and welcome to Prime Video Recaps. Today we're recapping the beloved Prime Video original, Invincible. We'll be going over Season 1 to help catch you up before the highly anticipated Season 2 premieres on November 3rd. Invincible follows the journey of Mark Grayson, a teenager with an intergalactic superpowered lineage. He's the son of Nolan Grayson, aka Omni-Man, an all-powerful cosmic hero from the planet Viltrum, who touched down on Earth years ago. Armed with newfound powers, Mark embarks on his own odyssey while juggling everything that comes with being a teen along the way. Invincible is a wild mix of outlandish superhero antics, family drama, and spectacular brutality. But don't take my word for it. Let's get into the Season 1 recap so you can see for yourself. Episode 1, It's About Time. The series premiere episode begins with an epic introduction to the Guardians of the Globe as they take on the Mauler twins. Omni-Man makes his first appearance, foreshadowing not so great things to come. We then meet Mark Grayson and his mother Debbie Grayson, and the relationship seems about as typical as it can get for a mother and son duo, but with the almighty Omni-Man in the mix as father and husband. We then meet Mark's best friend, William Clockwell, and are introduced to his life as a high school senior. Even though Mark doesn't yet have his Viltrumite powers, he still tries to stand up to a bully named Todd, who is giving Mark's school crush, Amber, a hard time. Mark's powers finally kick in while he is in the middle of taking out the trash at his job. He then goes on a little joyride via flight, testing out his new powers. The next day, Mark and Nolan train for the first time. It starts out well enough, but doesn't end on a positive note after Nolan punches Mark in the chest. In an attempt to de-stress, Mark stops a robbery while wearing a homemade suit. Nolan witnesses the entire ordeal, leading to father and son having a serious heart-to-heart about the kind of hero Mark wants to be. He says he wants to be just like his dad. To make up for the rough morning training session, Nolan takes Mark to get his first superhero suit made by Art Rosenbaum. Nolan isn't the only parent Mark has a heart-to-heart with on that day. Later that evening, Mark and his mom, Debbie, have a moment of their own. Debbie tells Mark that he doesn't have to be the great Omni-Man, he only needs to be the best Mark, aka Invincible. The episode ends on a high note and on a violent note. Mark goes back to Art for his new suit, deciding on the name Invincible. Meanwhile, his dad, Omni-Man, annihilates the entire Guardians of the Globe team before falling unconscious. Episode 2, Here Goes Nothing. Episode 2 opens with the Global Defense Agency finding the Guardians dead and Omni-Man unconscious. The director of the government agency, Cecil Stedman, informs Mark and Debbie about the situation, but no one knows what actually happened. We're introduced to the teen team when they come to Invincible's aid as he tries to save civilians during an attack on the city by aliens known as the Flaxons, who lose at this point in the episode due to their rapid aging once they are on Earth. Mark recognizes one of the teen team members, Adam Eve, who's also a student at his school. Later that day, she takes Mark to the teen team headquarters to officially meet the other members, Robot, Rexplode, and Duplicate. Meanwhile, the Global Defense Agency continues its investigation of the Guardians' deaths, and they encounter Damien Darkblood, a demon detective doing his own investigation. The Flaxons return to Earth after finding a way to reverse their aging. This time around, Invincible and the teen team take them on together, destroying their anti-aging technology, forcing them to leave. Nolan continues to recuperate, finding enough strength to start training Mark again. Cecil stops to inform them of another alien who is about to attack Earth, and Mark volunteers to go. He finds out the alien is named Alan, and he is testing Earth's defenses for a coalition of planets. Alan had the wrong planet though, and the two bid a friendly goodbye. While the second episode doesn't end with a shocker like the first, it does keep the high energy going. Mark gets Amber's number from Todd, and Omni-Man pays a visit to the Flaxons' homeworld. Episode 3, Who You Calling Ugly? Episode 3 starts with the televised funeral of the Guardians of the Globe. Omni-Man gives their eulogy and promises to protect the world. There's also a private funeral where Damien Darkblood questions Nolan with his suspicions. Cecil Stedman asks Robot to work with the Global Defense Agency and makes him the leader of the new Guardians of the Globe team, which he will also have to assemble. Meanwhile, things progress with Mark and Amber as he invites her over to the house for a study date. Elsewhere, Adam Eve's relationship with Rex Blow comes to an end after she finds him cheating on her with Duplicate. Later, Robot holds tryouts for the new Guardians team. The new team consists of former depowered Guardians member Black Samson. Then we have Duplicate, Monster Girl, Shrinking Ray, and Rex Blow. Adam Eve declines membership. Mark and Amber's study date is interrupted when Mark gets a call from Cecil to stop Doc Seismic from attacking Mount Rushmore, which leads to Invincible and Adam Eve working together to successfully stop him. The episode ends with the Muller twins escaping prison with the help of Robot, and Damian Darkblood pays a visit to Debbie, feeding her his suspicions about Nolan. Episode 4. Neil Armstrong, Eat Your Heart Out. Episode 4 opens with an excavation site in a desert. A man manages to awaken an evil spirit, Kahor, and things go horribly wrong. Olga, the wife of the late Red Rush, feeds further into Debbie's growing suspicions about her husband. She also asks Debbie to help her sell her home. Nolan confronts Damian Darkblood and warns him to stay away from his family. Damian tells Nolan that his wife Debbie is already suspicious. Later, Cecil asks Nolan to shadow NASA's first manned mission to Mars as an attempt to get him off planet so he can investigate the Guardians' deaths. But Nolan refuses. Instead, Nolan tries to squash the tension between him and Debbie with the vacation. Mark then volunteers to go in his dad's place. While on Mars, the mission goes sideways. Mark has to rescue the astronauts from the Martians who want to kill them in order to prevent the sequids, a squid-like parasite, from infecting them. Back on Earth, Cecil banishes Damian Darkblood to keep him from doing any further investigation. We find out that Damian manages to hide his notebook in Debbie's closet. Episode 5, That Actually Hurt. Episode 5 opens with learning more about Titan, who was one of the robbers Mark stopped in episode 1. Titan is more than some run-of-the-mill bad guy. He's working for Machine Head in hopes of making a better life for his family. Titan wants out, but Machine Head isn't going to let him walk away that easily. Mark continues to struggle with balancing his life as a teenage superhero. He promises Amber he'll help out at the soup kitchen with her, but is unable to keep his promise because he agrees to help Titan take on Machine Head. Nolan heavily disagrees with Mark helping Titan, reaffirming that Mark isn't the same kind of superhero his dad wants him to be. Titan and Invincible take on Machine Head and his goons. It doesn't go well at all. Meanwhile, Amber and Eve bond while volunteering at the soup kitchen after Amber asks Eve to join her in Mark's place. The Guardians of the Globe show up to help Invincible and Titan, but Battle Beast beats the hell out of Invincible, Monster Girl, and Black Samson. They all end up in the ICU at the Global Defense Agency headquarters. Episode 6, You Look Kinda Dead. This episode opens with something weird going on at Upstate University. A student is kidnapped. Mark regains consciousness, but Black Samson and Monster Girl remain in intensive care. He reconciles with Amber while Robot leads Monster Girl's surgery. Mark, Amber, and William pay a visit to Upstate University where William's crush, Rick Sheridan, attends school. Eve shares her plans of helping people on her own after she was inspired by Amber's humanitarian advocacy. Eve leaves her parents and builds herself a treehouse in the middle of the woods. D.A. Sinclair makes his first appearance, and later a cyborg attacks the school campus. Mark goes into invincible mode and fights the cyborg. Shortly after the cyborg is killed, William recognizes Mark as Invincible. Later, Rick is kidnapped by D.A. Sinclair, and Mark compromises his relationship with Amber after finally agreeing to help William find Rick. Mark and William find Rick, but they're too late as he's already been turned into a cyborg by D.A. Sinclair. Mark and William defeat D.A. together, and Cecil arrives to arrest him, but he also takes an interest in D.A.'s technology. Debbie continues Damian's investigation by taking Nolan's Omni-suit to Ark. They confirm her suspicions that Nolan was behind the Guardians' deaths. The episode ends with Debbie confronting Nolan in a drunken rage, and the Muller twins use Rex Blow's DNA sample to make a new clone body for Robot. Episode 7, We Need to Talk. Episode 7 begins with Nolan asking Debbie to trust him. She then gets summoned by the Global Defense Agency, where she learns that Cecil already knows the truth about Nolan. Robot continues his manipulation of the Muller twins by asking them to add the neural link upgrade to the clone he was building with Rex Blow's DNA. It's successful, and Robot, now Rudy, betrays the twins. Rudy then summons the new Guardians to explain himself. He also reveals the truth about Omni-Man and the former Guardians' deaths. Mark finally tells Amber that he is invincible, but she had already figured it out. She's upset with him for lying to her the entire time. Omni-Man goes back home to discover the Global Defense Agency spying on him. He murders them all, including Cecil's assistant, Donald Ferguson. From headquarters, Debbie and Cecil witness the killings, which leads Cecil to deploying the Reanimin, which he adapted from DEA's technology. A kaiju is also sent in an attempt to kill Omni-Man, both of them failing. The twins revive the Immortal in hopes of using him to get revenge against Robot, but instead, the Immortal flies off to find Omni-Man for murdering him and the rest of his teammates. Omni-Man kills the Immortal again. Invincible is horrified, but his dad finally asks him for a talk to reveal his true intentions. Episode 8, Where I Really Come From. Episode 8 begins with Omni-Man sharing his true origin story with Invincible. He reveals he infiltrated Earth for the Viltrumites to conquer, and he wants his son to join him. Invincible refuses. Invincible and Omni-Man have a fight of epic proportions, destroying Chicago in the process. Omni-Man overpowers Invincible, almost killing him, but instead Mark's words get through to him. Leaving Omni-Man to fly off into space with tears in his eyes, he couldn't bring himself to finish off his son. The Guardians and Adam Eve begin relief efforts for the places affected by the fight between Omni-Man and Invincible, and the public learns the truth about Omni-Man. Mark eventually heals, but he and Debbie's lives are left in shambles, and Cecil helps them falsify Nolan's death. Eve reveals her super identity to Amber and William. Invincible updates Alan the alien with everything that has happened since they saw each other last. Alan tries to convince Invincible that he could be an advantage to the coalition to stop the Viltrumites. The season ends with the Maulers getting arrested, other villainous forces conspiring, the Immortal recuperating under the custody of the Global Defense Agency, and Cecil employing D.A. Sinclair for more Reanimin. And there you have it, everything you need to know about Season 1 of Invincible. Don't forget Season 2 will premiere on Prime Video on November 3rd. Once again, my name is Stephanie Williams, and thank you for watching Prime Video Recaps.